A small island, a rising superpower across the strait, and a secret. Taiwan was within reach of a nuclear bomb. But the program didn't end because of a strike or a treaty. It ended because one engineer walked into the shadows and never came home. This is the story of Colonel Chang Hsien-yi, Taiwan's nuclear insider and the CIA's most valuable source on a program hidden in plain sight. The People's Republic of China detonates its first nuclear device. In Taipei, panic is clinical. If the mainland has the bomb, Taiwan must get close, very close. By 1966, a clandestine effort is underway. Publicly, it is research for power. Privately, it is research for weapons. The Institute of Nuclear Energy Research, INER, is the hub, shielded by civilian cover stories and technical ambiguity. A young officer, Chang Hsien-yi, is selected and sent to the United States. He trains at Oak Ridge, earns a PhD at Tennessee, and returns to a fast-maturing program where Taiwan learns to simulate blasts on computers, refine materials, and prepare for reprocessing, the step that turns spent fuel into bomb fuel. Sometime around 1969, the phone rings. A polite pitch from a company interested in nuclear power. Chang declines. Years later, he realizes it was the CIA. By 1977, he's back in Taiwan as a lieutenant colonel, tasked with nuclear explosion simulations and sensitive code work at INER. The cover remains immaculate. Peaceful research, civilian aims. But the datasets, the metallurgical equipment, the quiet procurement tell a different story. By the mid-1970s, something feels off to the international inspectors at the IAEA. They press harder, suspecting fuel may be diverted for reprocessing. In July 1976, they arrive for an intrusive inspection at INER, probing whether Taiwan is building a covert path to plutonium. The U.S. quietly backs the pressure. It's the first major showdown, one that ends with Taiwan stepping back, but not stopping. The cat and mouse simply goes underground. Within Washington, patience thins. Analysts see a pattern. Taiwan denies intent while building on-demand capability, the ability to sprint to a weapon in months. The strategy is to have the bomb only when needed, not sitting in a stockpile that could trigger sanctions or preemption. In 1980, during a U.S. visit, the CIA tries again. This time, Chang listens. He undergoes a grueling lie detector test. He passes. In 1984, he formally becomes an informant. Every few months, he slips away to meet his case officer, known only as Mark, in condos around Taipei, including near the pulsing lights of Shilin Night Market. The tradecraft is old school. Handwritten notes, quiet corroboration, photographs of sensitive documents. Chang confirms what U.S. analysts fear. A relatively large plutonium separation plant is underway, clearer, harder evidence than Washington has ever had. With each meeting, the stakes rise. With each photocopied page, the risk to Chang's life grows. April 1986, Chernobyl. A reactor explodes in Ukraine, and the winds carry the consequences across borders. For Chang, the disaster is clarifying. Nuclear power mismanaged is horror. Nuclear war is annihilation. That same year, Israel's Mordecai Vanunu goes public about Dimona and is kidnapped and jailed. Chang chooses secrecy instead. Quiet cooperation over public martyrdom. He keeps meeting Mark. He keeps feeding the ledger that Washington will one day place on Taipei's desk. January 1988. President Chiang Jing-kuo dies. Reformist Lee Teng-hui rises. Washington sees an opening. With Chang's intelligence, the U.S. can do what it failed to do in 1976, end the program decisively. A quiet exfiltration whisked Chang, his wife, and 3 children to the United States. Soon after, American specialists arrive in Taiwan. The mission is surgical: dismantle the reprocessing line, remove heavy water and irradiated fuel, erase the breakout path. One scene captures the finality. To kill the plant, Taiwan pours in concrete, most of the island's daily concrete production, 50 trucks in a single day. The facility becomes a tomb. Was this a simple ally-to-ally conversation? It was collaboration shot through with friction. For over 2 decades, the U.S. toggled between support and suspicion, arming Taiwan's conventional forces while pressing it to remain non-nuclear. The bargain was blunt. Washington would deter Beijing with its own nuclear umbrella and weapon sales, so long as Taiwan didn't build its own bomb. When U.S. officials believed Taiwan had crossed technical red lines, like covert reprocessing, the pressure sharpened into threats of diplomatic rupture and cutoffs, backed by intelligence Chang helped validate. 1988 was the final act of a multi-decade campaign. CIA reporting, IAEA inspections, and high-level démarches worked in tandem, carrots, sticks, and surveillance, to stop the bomb. Back home, Chang is branded a traitor. A warrant is issued. It expires in 2000. He never returns. In the U.S., he adopts the English name Gray, becomes a Christian, consults on nuclear safety, and tries to build an ordinary life after an extraordinary betrayal of expectations. In later interviews, Chang is reflective, even emotional. The hardest part wasn't danger. It was deceiving colleagues and protecting his family through silence. Years later, after reading his memoir, his adult children tell him they understand and thank him. Would a Taiwanese bomb have stabilized the strait or lit the fuse? Analysts argue both sides. One current runs like this: nuclear weapons deter invasions. Had Kiev kept Soviet warheads, would Russia have attacked? Apply that logic to Taiwan, and Chang looks like a man who clipped the island's ultimate shield. But the counter-argument is sharper in the Asian context. A Taiwanese bomb might have triggered a preemptive strike or a U.S. pullback, fracturing the very alliance that keeps the strait balanced. Washington viewed a Taiwanese bomb as too destabilizing to tolerate. For Taiwan, for the region, and for U.S.-China crisis management. Instead, Taiwan doubled down on asymmetric defense and something far stranger and maybe stronger than a warhead: the Silicon Shield. In 1987, just before the shutdown, Morris Chang founded TSMC. Today, Taiwan produces the vast majority of the world's cutting-edge chips, a global dependency some believe is its most practical deterrent, not because it can destroy, but because the world cannot function without it. In Taiwan, the verdict is unsettled. Some strategists still call Chang a traitor who stole a deterrent with Beijing. Others, including defense scholars, argue that precision missiles and U.S. backing cover what tactical nukes once promised. Across the documents and the memoirs, one theme recurs: collaboration through tension. The CIA needed Chang to prove what satellite photos and procurement lists could not. Taiwan needed U.S. protection even as it probed the boundaries of U.S. red lines. Everyone wanted deterrence. No one wanted a bomb that could start the very war it was supposed to stop. Colonel Chang Hsien-yi lives far from home. He says he carries no guilt. He said, "I did it with my conscience clear." Perhaps because of him, Taiwan never crossed the line that might have changed Asia forever. Was he a spy who stole a deterrent, or a patriot who prevented catastrophe? History rarely hands out clean titles, but it leaves clues. And in those clues, debriefing notes, IAEA cables, and a shuttered plant filled with concrete. You can still hear the echo of a choice that ended a bomb before it began.